What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for MLB Sunday, April 24th.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to go over my top DFS picks for today's MLB slate.
And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made.
Okay guys, we have a 9-game slate here today, so let's take a look at the pitcher position. I like Lucas Giolito pitching against a low salary batting team, the Minnesota Twins. Lucas Giolito, he's only giving up a .632 OPS versus lefties, a .719 OPS versus righties, and a .706 OPS versus switch hitters. He's facing 3 lefties, 5 righties, 1 switch hitter. But what I like about this pick is that the Twins have only hit 26 of his last 141 pitches. That's a 184 batting average and a huge sample size. Lucas Giolito is $9,600 FanDuel salary, $200 less on DraftKings, averaged 34 fantasy points per game on the season last year, has an ERA of 3.53, and his record was 11-9, pitching an average of 96 pitches per game. So I like Lucas Giolito here versus the Minnesota Twins. I also like Garrett Cole. I think I like Garrett Cole a little more than Lucas Giolito. Take a look at this. Garrett Cole is only giving up a .574 OPS versus righties, facing 5 righties here tonight, and the Guardians have only hit 9 of his last 55 pitches. That's a 164 batting average, and Garrett Cole is only 8,800 FanDuel salary. Now he is 1,600 more on DraftKings, so I love that FanDuel price. And Garrett Cole averaged 42 fantasy points per game on the season last year, had an ERA of 3.23, and his record was 16-8. Pitching an average of 99 pitches per game. So I like Garrett Cole in a game that Vegas thinks is going to be a low-scoring game. Super low-scoring game here. Only 7 runs scored in this game. That's their over-under. So I like Garrett Cole here versus the Cleveland Guardians. Okay, let's take a look at the catcher first base position. Here's a stud pick. I like CJ Cron with a 43% batting advantage over Tyler Alexander. CJ Cron bats 12% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a .990 OPS versus lefties. Tyler Alexander pitches 31% worse to righties as he does lefties, giving up a .824 OPS versus righties. And CJ Cron is 4,300 FanDuel salary, 1,300 more on DraftKings, averaged 11 fantasy points per game on the season last year, has a batting average of 281. So I like CJ Cron here versus Tyler Alexander. Now I really like this value play. I like Yuli Gurriel with a 54% batting advantage over a low-salary pitcher, Yusei Kikuchi. Yuli Gurriel is batting 11% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a .899 OPS versus lefties, and Yusei Kikuchi pitches his worst ball versus righty batters, 43% worse than his pitch to lefties, giving up a .834 OPS versus righties. And I like this pick because Yuli Gurriel is 5 for 19, batting a .263 batting average, but he's got a 1.023 OPS versus Kikuchi because 2 of those 5 hits were for home runs. And I like this pick because Yuli Gurriel is only $2,500 FanDuel salary, $1,300 more on DraftKings, averaged 10 fantasy points per game on the season last year, and he has a batting average of .319. So I think that's a steal on FanDuel for only $2,500. So I like Yuli Gurriel here versus Yusei Kikuchi.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching.
If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal,
all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won.
And we'll send you $25 PayPal.
So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
Okay, let's take a look at the second base position. I like Ian Happ with a 28% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, JT Brubaker. Ian Happ is batting 15% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .769 OPS versus righties, and JT Brubaker pitches his worst ball versus switch hitters, 13% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .903 OPS versus switch hitters. Ian Happ is 4 for 12, batting a .333 batting average and a .833 OPS versus Brubaker. He's $2,700 FanDuel salary, $1,600 more on DraftKings, averaged 9 fantasy points per game on the season last year, only has a batting average of .226, but I like the splits and I like the batter versus pitcher stats, and I like his price, especially on FanDuel, so I like Ian Happ here versus JT Brubaker. I also like Ozzie Albies with a 37% batting advantage over Jesus Luzardo. Ozzie Albies bats 19% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a .918 OPS versus lefties, and Jesus Luzardo, he pitches his worst ball versus switch hitters, 17% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .038 OPS versus switch hitters. Now, Ozzie Albies is 0 for 2 versus Luzardo, but I love the splits. He's $4,100 FanDuel salary, $900 more on DraftKings, averaged 12 fantasy points per game on the season last year, and he's got a batting average of .259. So I like Ozzie Albies here versus Jesus Luzardo. I also like Jonathan Villar with a 23% batting advantage over JT Brubaker. Jonathan Villar is batting 10% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .773 OPS versus righties. JT Brubaker, he pitches his worst ball versus switch hitters, giving up a .903 OPS versus switch hitters. And Jonathan Villar is 2 for 4 with a 1.750 OPS versus Brubaker. One of those 2 hits was a home run. He's only $2,500 FanDuel salary. Now he is $2,200 more on DraftKings, so I love that FanDuel price. Averaged 8 fantasy points per game on the season last year, has a batting average of .249, so I like Jonathan Villar here versus JT Brubaker. I also like Brendan Rodgers with a 60% batting advantage over Tyler Alexander. Brendan Rodgers is batting 29% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a .035 OPS versus lefties, and Tyler Alexander pitches 31% worse to righties as he does lefties, giving up a .824 OPS versus righties. There's no at-bats versus Alexander yet, but Brendan Rodgers is only $2,400 FanDuel salary, $1,300 more on DraftKings, averaged 9 fantasy points per game on the season last year, has a batting average of .284, so I like Brendan Rodgers here versus Tyler Alexander. Now, if you need another value play, I was going to mark this guy, and I'm going to mark him right now because his salary is just so low on FanDuel and on DraftKings. Take a look at Harold Castro with a 50% batting advantage over Chad Kuhl. Harold Castro batting 33% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .691 OPS versus righties, and Chad Kuhl pitching 17% worse to lefties as he does righties, giving up a .876 OPS versus lefties. And I just like this pick because Harold Castro is only $2,200 FanDuel salary, but even more importantly, he's 100 less on DraftKings. So there's your DraftKings value play right there. And he only averaged 6 fantasy points per game on the season last year, but he has a batting average of .283, and he scored 21, 13, and 3 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So he's been on fire, and he's super cheap on DraftKings. So I like Harold Castro as a value play, especially on DraftKings here versus Chad Kuhl.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, let's take a look at the third base position. I like Alex Bregman with a 60% batting advantage over a low-salary pitcher, Yusei Kikuchi. Alex Bregman batting 17% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a .897 OPS versus lefties. Yusei Kikuchi pitching 43% worse to righties as he does lefties, giving up a .834 OPS versus righties. But I like this pick because Alex Bregman is 6 for 17, batting a .353 batting average and a 1.182 OPS versus Kikuchi. He's $3,400 FanDuel salary, $1,500 more on DraftKings, averaged 11 fantasy points per game on the season last year, has a batting average of .270, so I like Alex Bregman here versus Yusei Kikuchi. I also like Chris Bryant with a 44% batting advantage over Tyler Alexander. Chris Bryant batting 12% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a .936 OPS versus lefties. We know Tyler Alexander is giving up a .824 OPS versus righties. Chris Bryant is 0 for 1 versus Alexander, but the splits are good here, and he's $3,800 FanDuel salary, $1,400 more on DraftKings. Averaged 11 fantasy points per game on the season last year, has a batting average of .265, so I like Chris Bryant here versus Tyler Alexander. Okay, moving on to the shortstop position. Did I give you Trevor Story already? No, I didn't. So I like Trevor Story with a 25% batting advantage over Shane McClanahan. Trevor Story is batting 22% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a .958 OPS versus lefties. Shane McClanahan giving up a .733 OPS versus righties. He pitches his worst ball versus righty batters. There's no at-bats versus McClanahan yet. Trevor Story is $3,400 FanDuel salary, $1,500 more on DraftKings. Averaged 11 fantasy points per game on the season last year. Has a batting average of .251. So I like Trevor Story here versus Shane McClanahan. Now, did I give you Brendan Rodgers? You know, with all these multiple positions, sometimes I'm just going through these players and I totally forget. So I'm sorry if I already gave you Brendan Rodgers, but he's got a 60% batting advantage over Tyler Alexander. He's batting 29% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a 1.035 OPS versus lefties. And Brendan Rodgers is only $2,400 FanDuel salary, $1,300 more on DraftKings, average 9 fantasy points per game on the season, has a batting average of .284. So I like Brendan Rodgers here versus Tyler Alexander. Okay, moving on to the outfield position, I like Tyler O'Neill with a 22% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Nick Lodolo. Tyler O'Neill batting 22% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a 1.078 OPS versus lefties. There's no at-bats versus Lodolo yet, and Tyler O'Neill is $3,400 FanDuel salary, $1,400 more on DraftKings, averaged 12 fantasy points per game on the season last year, has a batting average of .286. So I like Tyler O'Neill here versus Nick Lodolo. I also like Austin Meadows with a 57% batting advantage over that low salary pitcher, Chad Kuhl. Austin Meadows batting 40% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .875 OPS versus righties. Chad Kuhl pitching 17% worse to lefties as he does righties, giving up a .876 OPS versus lefties. Austin Meadows is $2,900 FanDuel salary, $1,000 more on DraftKings. He averaged 11 fantasy points per game on the season last year, has a batting average of .234. Batting average is a little low, but I do like the splits here, and I like the matchup. I think the price is fine. So I like Austin Meadows here versus Chad Kuhl. Another value play here is Akil Baddoo with a 52% batting advantage over Chad Kuhl. Akil Baddoo batting 36% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .843 OPS versus righties. We know Chad Kuhl is giving up a .876 OPS versus lefties. There's no at-bats versus Kuhl yet, and Akil Baddoo is only $2,200 FanDuel salary, $1,100 more on DraftKings, averaged 9 fantasy points per game on the season last year, has a batting average of .259. So I like Akil Baddoo here versus Chad Kuhl. Now here's another value play on both sites. I think this guy kind of snuck under the radar here. He's got a 35% batting advantage over Yusei Kikuchi. Oh, it's Jose Siri with a 35% batting advantage over Yusei Kikuchi. Jose Siri batting a 1.053 OPS versus lefties. Yusei Kikuchi giving up a .834 OPS versus righties. And Jose Siri is only $2,100 FanDuel salary, $800 more on DraftKings. So I like that price on both sites. And he averaged 8 fantasy points per game on the season last year. He has a batting average of .304. So I like Jose Siri here versus Yusei Kikuchi.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this MLB slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again and good luck.